Vanchaukapatubhyascha Kipa Sandubhi Evacha Patitanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha. My name is Akindra Das. I live in New Zealand, and this video is to teach you how to calculate all of the Vaishnava calendar events for many years to come, so that you don't have to constantly download different things, and I find that eventually I miss out on things. So I've found this system and I've been using it for years. It's very reliable. It's using this Krishna Days. I believe this was funded by the GBC at one point. It might still be, but it's currently up at a server. And I've downloaded this GCal for Windows version 11. They have a Macintosh version as well. And for those who don't live in any major city, there's an extra locations file that has a lot of obscure cities, etc. I'm going to switch to full screen sharing now. There seems to be a bit of lag between my voice and the video, so this will make it easier to watch. Okay, so I would suggest to download locations file and this GCal for Windows file. Now, the URL I've put here, krishnadays.com. Now, just in case this website goes down for any reason in the future, who knows, I've taken these software and all these files, and I've put it at this URL on my Google Drive. So tinyurl.com/gcal108, and you can also download these from this exact folder here. Now, this video is being made on the 7th of May 2020. I've had this Google account since like 2003, and it's not going anywhere. Right? It doesn't cost me anything, and I've still got 73% full. So this should be there for you for many years. Now, I use Google Calendar. Right? It's available for the iPhone. It's also available obviously on Android. But there's lots of other software out there, right? We're going to export a very generic format of data for these events, and it can be used in lots of different apps, right? Now, I know there are some Vaishnava calendar reminder apps already in existence, right? And they may be really good. I've never used them, right? But I don't like to be reminded to update things constantly. I guess I'm getting old, I don't like to constantly have to remember to do this and remember to do that. And to be honest, it's because my memory doesn't work all the time. So the idea is you can, because these dates don't change, right? Ekadashi can be calculated for 100 years from now, right? These major titis, appearance days of like Sri Ramananda Rai, this has been, more than 500 years the same, right, according to the Gaudiya calendar. So these calculations are good to go. Wherever your location is, it can calculate that all the way down to specific latitude and longitude, right? And I'm going to actually demonstrate. It's going to take a little time, but I'm going to demonstrate how to get very specific calculations here and then export it in a generic format. Now, Google is a company with multi-billion dollars. I don't think they're going anywhere for some time, right? But even having said that, the file formats that we're going to export can be adapted to anything that's currently popular, right? Like Outlook calendars. There's lots of reminder systems that you can use this stuff in. Okay, so the first step is to go to this Krishna Days address here, and you can download the two things you need to download are the GCal for Windows if you're on Windows. There's also a Mac version. And if you don't live near any major city of the world, there's an extra files. It's quite large, that has I don't know how many thousands of locations for smaller like cities and not major metropolis areas, right? I live in a place that's even more remote. So I'm not even located in there. I've got to custom create my location based on latitude and longitude. And I am going to show how to do that, because I suspect, every town and village, there'll be people all over the world, and some people don't live near anything major. I mean, to be honest, my nature is to move as far away from society as possible and live in the forest, but, I have to kind of push myself to be involved, right? So here, I've got this. Also, you can download this from my Google Drive. The link for that is here, tinyurl.com/GCal108. Now, my Google Drive isn't going to go anywhere. I've had this since 2003. It's 2020. I don't plan on ever deleting this account. Plus, I've got akendra@gmail.com, which is easy to tell people my email address, okay? So, yeah, if you have any questions or you need help, I just gave you my email address. I don't want to type it. Okay, so we've downloaded the software. I've got it here in my downloads folder. These are zip files. Now, for those of you who are very have sophisticated computer skills, this is going to go a little bit slow for you, right? And you're welcome to fast forward, but I'm trying to make this accessible to anyone. I'm going to right-click the zip file and go extract all, and I'm just going to extract it into the folder. And now it's opened that folder here, which is actually a little bit annoying. And I can now delete the zip file, which I'm going to do because I don't like to be cluttered, right? Now this locations file, if you need it, you can similarly extract. This time I'm going to untick that. And so that can go on in the background. It's kind of a large file. And now if I double click into this GCal folder, there's an executable file. It should say the type as application. And if I double click that, it will open the software. Eventually. I'm not on a very powerful computer, and it's spending a lot of resources unzipping that. You get the tip for the day, thank you. And by default, it's set to Vrindavan. Beautiful. Right. Now, to change this default location, which is your first step, you should go to Settings, and then My Location. Okay? And then select Location. And there's quite a lot of cities here. You can narrow it down by country. Click that and I'll start typing New Zealand, and can go like that. And these are the available cities in my country. And these are the major ones: Auckland, Christchurch, Wellington. I don't live next to any of these, right? So I'm going to have to go to the next layer, right? I'll show you. If your city is here, good. That's the first step of this whole tutorial. So you can move on. I'll put the date, the time in the video, right? You can move on and fast forward a little bit, okay? So I've got to actually add extra locations here, okay? If I go Menu, Import List, and it's, I'll show you. Right? Now, what it's gone to by default, here I've unzipped this location folder. If I double click there, and then this lock data, and then all of these countries are there. I'm going to scroll down to New Zealand. That's my country. And click Open. And it's asking me, do I want to add it to the current list, or replace? If I click no, it will replace the current list, and cancels to cancel, right? So it's a little bit confusing. Yes is add them to what's already there. Now I found when I did that, it would double up, right? Which doesn't bother me much, but it may bother you. If you click no, it will replace those, okay? I'm going to click yes because it's safer. I don't want to lose all of my places. And again, I can click this, New Zealand, and as you can see, I've got quite a lot of extra locations in my country available here, right? But still doesn't have my specific location, Okay, so I'm going to show the next step. If you found your location here, good. You can move forward. For those of you who need to do a custom time, now this could be considered like obsessive, okay, to some people, and I get that. But I just want to show how to do it, okay, because it's quite good software here. I mean, it's not fancy looking software, but it does the job really well, okay? So what I'm going to do is go to Google Map, all right? Now, I don't work for Google or anything. I know I'm using a lot of Google products. It's just because I find them convenient and they're free. So here I'm in a Google Map, actually quite close to where I work. I'm going to pick a really off-the-beaten-path town that we have here in New Zealand. It's down here near Greymouth. It's called, believe it or not, it's called Hurry Hurry. So I'm just going to zoom into there and show you, okay? And let's be really, really, really specific. I'm going to click on the satellite view. I could actually, if I did live in this town, which I don't, but if I did, I could literally zoom in and find my house. So I'll just pick a random house, not next to the butchery. I don't want to live there. Let's go down to like near the whatever, and I'll click that on the map, and well, it went away. I'll click again, and at the bottom you've got a latitude and a longitude available, right? If I click that, now that's in decimal format. Decimal means I had base 10 number system, but the software uses a base 60, right? So I'm going to click this, and what happens is it actually will give me the base 60 here. So now you have minutes and seconds rather than degrees like that, okay? So it's degrees, minutes, and seconds, and this is like a decimal representation. I'm going to copy. Now, I don't know who lives here. Sorry if you're watching. The chance they were watching this video as a devotee. I'm going to copy that information here. I'm using Opera, which is very similar to Chrome. It's actually a Chrome engine. All right, I'm going to come back to, I've got a Notepad, right? You can open, if you just go to search here, you can type in Notepad and open up Notepad, okay? I'm using a little bit more advanced version, but it's essentially the same thing. And I'm going to paste that in there. Now this is giving me the north-south and the east-west, latitude and longitude. I'll just separate those into two separate lines. And I'm going to return to the software. And at this point I'm going to go menu and create location. Okay, the city, I'm going to call it Hurry Hurry. I think it's actually, yeah, is it 2 words? Hurry Hurry. And put that in the country of New Zealand. And then it gives the examples of the format that the software expects. This has to be done precisely. So I'm going to copy these examples out by selecting them and then Control-C on the keyboard. And go back to my Notepad, and I'm going to place these examples above, okay? So first I'm going to do the longitude. Longitude is east to west, and they give 2 examples of the format. I don't necessarily need that example, so I'm going to just delete that. Oops. And then for the longitude, similarly, I'm going to delete that. I have a southern hemisphere, so I'm going to keep the S one and get rid of the northern one. Okay? And the degrees for the latitude, well, actually I'll do this in reverse order. I'm going to just move them around so they match. It's 170 degrees, so I'll copy that. And that's what goes in front of the letter E, 170 degrees. Now, the minutes, it's a base 60 system, like kind of same as minutes and seconds, right? This I would round up to 34 4 because it actually doesn't do seconds. It does degrees and minutes, which is specific enough, right? I mean, 34, and I'm going to replace the 25 with 34, and do the same for longitude. I'm in the southern hemisphere, so 43 degrees, and then minutes and seconds. Well, 57 is very close to 9, so I'm going to change that to 9 minutes and put that there. So now I've got my latitude, longitude. I can copy these values, and for longitude, be careful not to get them back to front. So longitude belongs in the bottom one, and it will give you feedback if it's acceptable or not. That's actually well-designed software. Okay, and then same for the latitude. I'll copy over top of the defaults, and it accepts my latitude as well. So that's very important. Okay. Next, to choose the time zone, and this is a very the international standard for time zones. We are in +12 and Auckland. That's a city of New Zealand. And I click add, and now I'm in New Zealand. If I go down to H, I've got my custom location. Okay. If I go menu, show location on Google Maps, it will actually open up Chrome. That's my default browser. And it's good to double check. That's all. It's just good to double check. So I'm actually going to do that to make sure I've got that town hurry. Bit slow. So I'm going to let that go in the background. And at this point, I will double check it, but I just want to move on. Okay, so I'm clicking OK. And, oh, it's ready. And right in the middle, hurry. So, successful. I can X out of that. In fact, I don't need Chrome open at all. All right, so then click Set. And as you can see, it's changed to my custom latitude, longitude, and giving me the titi for the day. Now, we move to the second step. I've got my location set. If I go calculate, and then calendar, first it's going to confirm the location, which we've set. Just want to double check that. Yep. I want to click auto update time zone. Okay. And then go next. That way if it calculates a time that's within the daylight savings time, it could be accurate. I think that's what that setting's for actually. Start date, I'm going to start today, right? And then go next. And then end date. Now I've found for importing into these apps, a lot of them can't handle 50 years at once. Okay? So it's better to do it in increments of 10. Okay, and that gives us up from 2020 to 2030. Okay, so 10 years at a time, right? In fact, I'll change it to Gaudiya years. I believe that will start on the Gorpanim every year. I'm just going to change it to that and go calculate. And this is actually going to take a little bit of time. It's not ready yet. This is one maybe drawback of the software is sometimes you have to be very patient for it to calculate, especially if you're going to calculate 20 years at a time, etc. I think it's done with the 10 years, which means I can then go File, Save Content, and I'm going to just move up to my Downloads folder as before, and I'm going to save this as Hurry Calendar, and I'm actually going to give it a number 1 And the type you want to change to iCalendar ICS. There are other calendars formats available, generic comma-separated values. For those of you who, you could build another application on top of this data. It's actually very reliable data. It's very well, I work in IT, so it's just nicely presented data, and I can get these formats, and they're very accurate, right? So ICS is the one I'm going to export it as because it's a very generic format, and click Save. This also takes some time. Perhaps if you have a really fast computer, this would work, but I don't. I have to be patient. And eventually I can see I've got my calendar. The actual file size is actually finished, so it's done. It's ready for importing. So that's the second step, exporting the data into a particular format. Now the third step of this process is to import it into a system. Now I'm going to use the Google Calendar system as an example. I can undo some of these things, right? And I've already done this for my particular region. I live in Nelson, right? I'm going to untick that. And if I go, I think it's here, add other calendars, right? And I can go import. The problem is, if I don't already have a calendar set up for this, it will just import it into one of my existing calendars, and that creates a lot of confusion. So I don't recommend doing that. First, you can just go to add, and then create new calendar. And I'm going to give this the name Hari GCal, okay? And the time zone is already set up for me, and I'm the owner. Create calendar. It has no events in it. It's completely empty, right? But once I get the confirmation, now I can go to import, change the calendar here to the new one created, Hari GCal, and then select from my computer, navigate to wherever I save the output file. In my case, it's here in the downloads folder. Click open, and then import, and be patient. This can take quite a bit of time, and sometimes it isn't successful, right? So I tried to do 50 at once. It worked like a month ago when I did it, and before I made this video I did a little practice, and it failed. So that's why I narrowed it down for this example to 10 years at a time. See, it's come up with an error. Now, it worked before I started this video, but before I do anything drastic, it's giving me the error, but when I come here, it's actually imported all the dates, right? If I want to confirm that, a quick check is to switch from month mode to year mode, and I calculated all the way to 2030, so I can quickly just jump in my time machine and move to 2030 and check around this time. No events. I'll switch back into like month mode. I'm in January 2030 and it still has my kadashis calculated for me. So it came up with an error message, but clearly it's still working. Okay, I'm just gonna see how far, because we set it to do the Gaudiya, so it's come to here. Okay, oops. All right, you can also click on these dots and set a custom color according to whatever color you would like it to be. Suit yourself, whatever makes you happy. And that's the third step, importing the data into the calendar. So next, what I'm going to teach you, if you're not using Google Calendar for your app, then we're finished. In fact, yeah, this is just some specific settings that I've found helpful. And for that, you click on the, not the X, but the triple dots, go setting and sharing. And One thing is you can export it again into a different format for a different type of calendar system. Because this iCal that we exported from the software, because it's such a generic format, it's widely accepted and can be converted to any other format. So that's one of the advantages here, okay? I want to make this calendar public because you never know, maybe in this small town, maybe there might be a whole community of Vaishnavas that I didn't know about. I mean, to be born in a town called Hari Hari, there must be some Sukriti, obviously, right? So if anyone there wants to know the Gaudiya calendar, it will be there for them, and it should come up in a Google search, okay? Now, the way that the software imports it is all of the events are actually all-day events. It would be slightly better if we had like different timings. Like for me, I'd like to know when's the time to break Ekadashi exactly. Like you have a window, and some days those windows are only like less than an hour, you know. So I like to know that personally. Not that I always am accurate, but you know, I do. I try. You know, I try. So at the moment, it can't give exact timings, but it can notify you beforehand of the timings, right? But it won't pop up on your phone, break fast now, right? It's not that specific. I mean, I could program it to do that, but or someone could, but at the moment, it's not that obsessive, right? So if I click on Add Notification, I can then set notification to give me a notification one day before the event at 9 in the morning, okay? You can change it to any time. If you want more than one day, you can change it, obviously. And then the other type of notification is through email, right? And I want to be emailed one day at 9 a.m., okay? So those are really the only main settings that you need. And just from that, it will come up on your phone as a notification at whatever time you set, and you'll get email. Right. I like getting it in my email in the morning. And just because we're using like a well-supported software, there's lots of other features that Google Calendars has. I'm sure you could go and Google up extra things that I don't know about, right? But this does the job, okay? If I go out of settings, and now I'm all the way in 2020. So I've got this available to me now, right? And if I have this Google Calendar app on my phone and log in with the same Google account, I'll get all of those notifications. So that's that thing. Now I want to quickly show how to extend from 10 years into the next 10 years, and it's quite simple. Just as we calculated this 10 years, if I go, calculate calendar, and then all of that should already be set, right? Start date, obviously I can just change that from to 2030, right? Go next, and then give 10 more years from that particular point, right? And then calculate that. Same process, export, I'll do the next step, and then re-import, and you can extend it. I might as well do it. File, save content. I'm just checking this is actually 7th of May 2030. So I'm going to call this, first time I go ICS, and I'm going to call this Harihara Calendar 02. Save. From here, click that, go to settings, and import, export, select the new calendar file, which is 02, open, make sure it's changed to the actual calendar, import. And I can keep doing that all the way in the future. Like for me, I'd rather spend the time, half an hour of my life now and have all my reminders set up until I leave my body, right? Or move to another location, which seems to happen a lot in my life. I move to another location and then recalculate them. So hopefully that's helpful for you. That's my system. It does well. And the other beautiful thing is I can share this calendar with people in my community who live nearby, devotees who I cherish, and we can all, have the benefit of this. My wife has this also. She subscribes to the calendar. Now, she doesn't have to actually do this process. No, I've done it once, and I can just click here, and I can just share it with her through this account, or you can create a link, and then anyone who clicks on the link can, I'll show you how to do that. Get shareable link, right? And if I copy this link, I can send it in a message to someone and they can subscribe to the calendar that way, okay? So many people can benefit from your work. And that's all. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comments below, or you can email me. I spoke my email address in the video. I don't want to actually write it out because of spam and things. But yeah, if you comment in the video, I'll try to help you as best I can. Okay? Hare Krishna.